1015 Bob Rocks. I'm Crazy Bob along with Brother Vince.
Hey.
I was thinking about things, and we sometimes we get off on rants, which are very, very cool and informative. But I want to do a couple of shorties. This is one thing that came to me the other day, just thinking about it. I don't know why, but I'm on social media a lot, partly for my job and partly because I have really no exterior life. But
right. I got you.
I see these women on there complaining about. Well, let me get.
I know. There's nothing worse than a complaining woman. Go ahead.
They have legit complaints.
Okay.
The complaint is guys who try to slide into their DMs. Okay.
Okay.
And they're like, no, thank you. I'm not interested.
Right.
And then these guys just flip their shit. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, you're a whore. You're stuck up. You're this and that. And blah, blah, blah. And my thought is somewhere down the line, this worked. I can't imagine. It's the same thing with like I see when I see dudes sagging, you know what I mean? And I know it's different, but they're this and that. It's like, man, what kind of woman would put up with a man who can't pull his pants up? And then I think to myself, you know what? If women, I'm not saying they control it or they don't have. I'm not saying they're responsible for it, but if they would say no, I'm not going to be with any man who does that, men would pull their pants up. Somewhere down the line, I'm thinking of things that men do that women hate, absolutely abhor. There's women out there who will accept it.
Well, no. Well, it's. How do I? It depends on what your circle is, right? And so your circle, your little subculture, certain things are acceptable versus certain not. Right? Like that, that's all it is. Like, for example, right, in a certain subculture, dressing in walking in the house with a shirt and a tie on means like maybe you just got back from work or you got a job or you're doing this, you're trying to do something for yourself or whatever. In another circle, you walk in a house like that, it looks like you're a cop, you're a narc.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so, in some circles, like maybe like owning a gun, right, is like a super whatever, and having guns on your wall or whatever is like super cool or whatever like that. But in other circles, it's like, are you a psychopath? Like, what's wrong with you? Right.
Like, but I'm for girls, it's the same. But girls, more specific.
But girls, it's the same. But my point is that girls, it's the same way. Like, some girls won't like they grow up in a place where like all that shit is acceptable. So anything out of it, even no matter how ridiculous it's like, and I'm saying this because I know, right? Like I've tried to date hot gangbanger girls before. Right. But they were gangbangers, right? The only reason I was trying to talk to them was because they were hot, right? I don't want anything to do with a gangbanger, but they just happened to be there. They were the hot girl. So that's what I'm going to try to talk to, right? But you can't talk to those girls. You can't have a fucking conversation with those girls if you're not a gangbanger. You just can't. And they don't want nothing to do with nothing that has nothing to do with gangbanging, and it's just like, it's just how it is, man. And so I see what you're saying, where girls will tolerate whatever, but their circle, I think, determines what they tolerate. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Right. That makes sense.
I guess that's what I'm saying. But you're right. You know what I'm saying? You're not wrong.
I mean, just think of those things that the general population, or at least the people that I see, absolutely hate. I hate when a guy. I hate broke dudes. Ain't got no car. Live with his mama and this and that. But yet they always have girlfriends. Always.
Well, and plus, guys have the ability to wear on a woman. You know what I mean? Like, where at first we fit that mold, but over time we go back to who we normally are when we're not faking it, right? But we wait until we know that she really can't leave, right? And then when we know that she can't really leave, we start to be who we really are. And then she starts to be who she really is, and you're kind of stuck with each other. until either one of you finds something better, or one of you kill each other,
or if it clicks,
or you just stay there, or you just deal with each other's shit, and then you're like, her shit's probably no worse than anybody else's. Right. And she's like, I've been around enough dudes. His shit's no different than anybody else's. Yeah, he's weird, but they're all weird in their own way.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And he does that one thing I like.
Right, and then they last right. He don't care that I leave my dirty drawers on the floor, and I don't care that he farts when he sleeps. Like, who gives a shit, right? You know, whatever, right? And then they have kids, and their kids fart when they sleep.
Right.
But it is because, and I just say that because of those. It's like I never understood it. Like, I never got it. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I got a fucking job. Like, I got shit going for me. These motherfuckers are scrubs. You know what I mean? But they're like no interest. Like,
you're right. It's like they're at 50, they're going to be living with their mom. And broke,
like, you know what you get? What do you mean?
And and it's just like, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
What? You know, and but
they don't speak. Yeah, they don't speak that language. I mean,
but it's like that. But it's like that in other.
Dated girls where you think everything's good and you think they're up here or whatnot, and then they leave you for the broke guy with the neck tattoo. So
it happens, but like, I'll give you an example, like say like Sal, right? Like, his wife's really religious, right? Mm-hmm. But Sal's grimy, right? So he played the role, right? Like, he played the role, right? But you can only pretend for so long, right? So after a while, truths came out, but by that time they were already like engaged. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So blah blah blah. All these years later, he still goes to church with her. But now he smokes weed all walking around the house, but at first it was all fake, right? Like, it was all like trying to get her. And then, he did what all guys do. You know what I mean? He told her the truth after he had her.
Well, same thing. Women do it too.
Yeah.
Once
they pregnant, right?
They start being, yes, they lock you in. 18
like, hey,
years
I'm pregnant.
Payments.
You're like, all right, well, if you're pregnant, then you're going to have to know this shit.
Well, Well, on the other side of that, there's probably a piece of him that actually fell into it too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I guess everybody does it, right?
Maybe he did. At least a little part of him does accept the Lord and Jesus Christ as a savior. You know what I mean?
Oh, right. And there's stuff you like. I guess especially when you're younger, you like, I would never do that with this jar. I would never date a girl like that and all that. And then all of a sudden you're like, well, I guess, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
There's other things that are more important, you know what I mean? But it's funny to watch it happen.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But especially for a single guy like me who watches from the outside. But I remember at a time, well, even still now, but I was the last one of my friends to get married.
Right. No.
Or to not get married, but I was the last one of my friends to still be single.
Right.
And then, these wives are they don't want them to go out with me because I'm single. I was like, you don't know. I was the one who kept him in line.
Right. Because you're the one who never gets out.
Right.
Right. No, 100%. All my friends' wives.
Or even before that, I was like, do you know who you're marrying? Because I got a list a mile long of shit that he did. I mean, I wasn't the one you had to watch out for. Because even when he was young and single and swinging, I was the one who had to drive his drunk ass home. I was the one that said, no, you have somebody at home waiting for you, Yeah.
And those are the ones who change the most, though, too. Right? Those dudes that are the craziest and the wildest and stuff like that. And then they get their girl, and then you got to go over there and just be like, is Jimmy home?
Can he come out and play?
You got to throw rocks at his window and shit. You're like, hey, ask your wife. We go fishing. Right? I got beer. The dog barking. You got to run and shit.
Right. What was that? Nothing. Nothing.
Right.
Go back to sleep, honey.
I got that dog so I can run your friends away.
Yeah, but it's just funny to me to think about all the things that that women absolutely abhor. There's women out there who are okay with it or even prefer it. Like you said, talking to them gangbangers, it's like, you're right. They speak a different language, and you could say, hey, you want to go to a movie? And they're like, we sneaking in? You know,
right, or whatever.
Right? You pay. I ain't paying to get in no movie. It's like, no, I will pay for you to get in the movie, and I'll buy you popcorn. We ain't got to pay. I got a friend. We're gonna, you know.
Right? I ain't trying to go to work all day. No, just like,
right.
but no, but every and then, you know, like I said, every group is like, and I've seen, like, so I know from my ex, one of her friends, right? Like, so when she lived in Waukegan, she was a gangbanger girlfriend, right? Like that. Like trying to fight girls all the time and shit, wore colors all the time, always wearing blue and white and shit, walking around with bandanas on, all like that, walking around crazy as shit, right? Then moved with her dad in Tennessee and just played the country wife role. Like, and I went down and to see that Tennessee and shit, and that fucking facade and mask of total, like,
country girl,
conservative country girl, goes to church and blah blah. Like, bitch, you don't know nothing about church. Like, I've been knowing you since you was a child, grow up and shit like that. You don't know nothing but gang banging. You know what I mean? Like, since you were like, all of you were 18, now you're like 20 something, 22, and you're like, like country and religious and shit. The fuck out of here.
All it takes is one trip to the city, and you're
vacation. Going around looking for.
Where you going on vacation? You going to Florida? You going? Oh no, I'm going to Waukegan.
Right.
She's coming back with more bandanas or a wound.
Right. I'm gonna go see Snoopy. Go see Flacco. Flacco and Snoopy, they still live there.
Right.
Tell him I said hi.
One's dead, one turned to the Lord because he knew he had no place to go.
Right. They take you on the side. Don't tell my husband about Flacco and Snoopy. He don't know about that.
Right. They text me sometimes.
Right.
But, you know, I suppose, you know, women do the same thing where, you know, being a guy, it's hard for me to think of or not being a woman to see things that other women hate. You know what I mean?
Oh, I'm sure, like,
because it's like I hate guys that wear baseball caps backwards, and 2 minutes later they're going to be dating one. Right.
Or the dude's going to come out with it. He's going to be like, "What? This is my favorite hat." You know what I mean? Yeah, like, I've had that plenty of times where I go and that's probably, you know what, almost I say this because so women all have different tastes too. So almost every woman I've dated, not almost every woman I've dated in the last few years, right? They've all bought me clothes because they didn't like the clothes I wore. They've all bought me jeans. They've all bought me shirts because they didn't like the clothes I wore. Like, they're like, nah, we're gonna have to go to the store, and then they go in or whatever. Or I go here, or I wear some shorts one day or whatever, and then I'll come back and they'll be like, "Oh, I stopped by the store. I bought you some shorts." Like, I know what they're getting at. Like, they're like, "This is what I want you to wear when we go out," right? And I'm like, whatever.
I need to start dating girls like that so that way I can do wardrobe.
But that's how. But because it doesn't matter, right? Because they all have different tastes too. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I was just wearing what the last girl bought me. Right? I thought that would work. Shit, it worked for her.
So I'm gonna have to start dating some of your friends.
Right? Like,
what do they like me to dress like?
Right.
It's like, oh, you know what? I got a wedding. I got to go start dating somebody else so I can get some.
Right. You got to spot the area and see what the dude's wearing in that area, so you know how she's going to dress you up. Like, is this an acceptable neighborhood? Can I dress like these guys?
Right. That's funny. Yeah. I'm going to have to try that. Well, it's like, on my, like, you know, I talk to friends, and I openly admit I'm on all the apps for dating.
Right,
Just
right.
essentially, like Tinder for me is a fidget spinner with pictures.
Right.
I'm just looking at. I don't know. I know that one. You know.
Yeah.
So even sometimes with my son, we'll sit there and I'm like, "What do you think of her?"
Right. That's awesome.
You
no,
know,
all girls have dated
I remember one time I actually got a hit from somebody, and this was a nice, well-to-do person.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I don't know. It was like we matched. So I contacted her, and then, you know, I saw that she does something, makes a lot of money, etc. And she sent me a message back. Oh, look, I don't think it's going to work, blah, 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 blah. And I kind of thought about it, and I saw the way it looked. Because I don't think much about it. I really don't. I don't sell myself. I was like, here's my picture. If you like me, good. If you don't, whatever.
Right.
You know, and other people have told me, it's like, no, you got to dress it up and this and that. It's like, I don't want to put out a resume, but apparently that's what you got to do. But for me, it was like, I just said, hey, I have a job that I really love, blah, blah, blah. That doesn't sound like anything. Now, if I would have said I have a career that I worked years to get and I really like it, it would have been different rather than a job that I love. You know what I mean? And then that stuff matters to people. You know what I mean?
You should just say what you do, man. Like that's a great selling point.
Well, there's pictures of me at the station with the logo behind me. So, I mean, if you can't figure it out.
Oh, right. But still, like, you don't know. You could be anybody, man. Like, you do gotta be a little.
Yeah. You do have to sell yourself a little bit.
You do have to.
And I really don't. And that's on any of the apps. But again, I'm not really serious about it. I'm really lazy about it.
You got to do, listen, I mean, it depends on what you're looking for. Right. But in reality, you know, if you read their shit and respond directly to something that they wrote that everybody else doesn't write, not the shit that everybody writes, like they like to travel, right? You respond to something specifically that they wrote,
right,
with humor, and you can make them laugh, right? You will get a date.
Well, you know, it's funny,
and if they're 40s, and if they're in their young 40s, and you're going to get that date, they're going to probably, I don't know if about this is about all races, but most if they're white women, they're mostly going to want to drink, right? So they want the wine. There's a good chance you could get drunk and get laid on your first, or if not your second date, because that's when they're most fertile. And they just got divorced. They're enough past their divorce where they're not like all that shit's way behind them, because that takes like a few years, like 3-4 years. So that's enough behind them. That's when they're most fertile. They're looking for a dude. They're looking for a forever dude, though. But that's the best time. Like, I mean, and that's all it is, man. Is you just gotta, to be honest, if you can make them laugh. Specifically about something about them, though. It can't be about regular bullshit. That shit don't work.
It's funny that you say that, because yes, everybody loves to travel and this and that. I could say it too. I love to travel. I haven't been anywhere, but I love it. You know what I mean?
Right. Like if somebody says, I've been to Texas, or I've been to this or whatever. I love Texas or whatever. And you're like, oh, have you ever been to Waco or blah, blah, blah. Like that's different. Yeah. Like, or you can make fun of people from Texas, right? All right, let me test you. You know what I mean? Like,
No. But it's just funny what they put, and then the other thing is they've all got photos of them like climbing mountains and hiking up trails and at the gym.
Dude,
and it's like for me, it's like, man, I just want to go home. I just want to chill on the sofa,
Girls always tell me that, dude, like a lot of dudes send dick pics, which I think is really weird. You know what I mean?
Again, another thing weird that somewhere down the line worked.
I don't think that worked. I know guys like this, right? I do. There's what works. There's what people have what people see in the movies and see, like whether it's in porn or in the movies, and they think that works. and that's what they do.
Yeah, I guess.
And that's what they're, and that's what, and like, cause I know guys like just grown ass men in like their 50s and 60s, but they've never been in a long-term relationship really. And they're just, and there's a reason why, you know what I mean? Like their impression of how a woman is gonna react, like a human being, right? Like that's not how a human being really is gonna act long term. Like it's not gonna be that way, you know. And so it's but that's what it is. It's weird. No, it's really strange because they tell me that all the time. But no, I went on this date not that long ago, man.
You sent her a dick pic?
No. No, it was fun. But she was a how do I put it, man? She was a little too weird on the like you know, like on the Trumpy kind of QAnon. Like she was too weird on that shit where it was like, damn, you're either crazy or stupid, so I can't trust you. Like you're cool. Like she was a cool chick, right? Like we had fun and all that, but like, you know, like you can't, if you're like, you know what I mean? If you're like in the, if you got caught in that, like if you're caught in that web of that just nonsense, you know, even like just too much, it's like, man, I can't deal, you know, you really can't deal with it, like not long term, you know what I mean? But it was fun and all that, you know. I pretended for a night and shit like that, like I was cool about it and stuff like that. I was like, oh, this bitch is crazy. It reminds me of Chris.
Oh.
She did.
All right. Well, I just thought it was funny, and we should talk about that because I know somewhere down the line, man, somebody like somebody else is crazy, man. You know what I mean?
Oh,
or disgusting.
Dude, it's like, remember the lady from Victory Hospital?
Which one? There's somebody there.
Remember, but she was married to the dude. They were both really, really strange. Speaking of, there's somebody for everybody. Remember the really strange? Remember, she used to come to work and tell stories. She'd be like, me and my husband had dinner naked last night. But she was like a little strange and weird, kind of slowish or whatever. She's like, we had dinner naked in the living room last night. Like she would tell everybody at work.
I think was that down in the dietary department?
Of course. Where else would they put those people? They hide those people from the public.
We'll put her behind the counter. Don't talk to the public.
Right. It was like, you know, it's like lower level B, C, D, dietary.
And then the unseen.
Right.
I still have dreams about that place, man. I have dreams that I wake up there, or not that I'm trapped in there, and I can't, because it's like a maze. I remember that hospital like the back of my hand. I know all the hiding spaces because not only did I work in dietary, I went on and worked in the engineering department. So I went into all the other places that you can't go. I had all access. Every once in, I never told anybody this, but every once in a while I'll go just hang out on the roof.
Right.
Just because I needed to get away from everybody. So I'll spend an hour on the roof. It's like, where were you? I was just working.
You know where the ghosts of Victory Hospital are and shit, where they keep the dead bodies.
Oh, yeah. I was down there. I was in the old morgue, and then I was in the new morgue. They still have body pieces from the 50s. And it was like, why are you keeping all this stuff? Well, like some of them were because there was ongoing cases. From like the 70s. But I was all this shit from the 50s and 60s, man, burn that shit. All it is you're holding diseases here. You're making new ones, man. Get rid of this shit, you know?
Maybe there's laws or something.
They had a whole big room, like a big warehouse size room. And it was all just mini slides, like, you know, those slides you put in a camera, but it was tissue.
Right.
It's like this whole room full of these tiny slides of tissue. And then they had, you know, like the thing where it's like the brain and a lung and this and that and blah, 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 just sitting there and formaldehyde. And it's been there so long that the formaldehyde is evaporating, you know, it's just in a closed jar.
The brain is starting to grow arms and shit.
Yeah. It's got a new stem. It's got a date.
Right. No shit. The brain is talking to the liver and shit from over there. Like
they're hooking up.
Right.
So anyway, well, we'll wrap this up, man. And
all right, man.
I do want to talk to you after this, though.
Okay.
We'll do this again. Thanks for listening. And if you have any comments, let us know, because I really like to hear about stuff that you absolutely hated that now you'll tolerate. All right. We'll see you, man.